So we're reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we just read straight through and then start over again. So we're on a chapter called Bankim Chandra, who is a well-known author in Bengal. And they have been talking about God realization. Ramakrishna just said, the one thing you need is to realize God. Why do you bother so much about the world, creation, science, and all that? Your business is to eat mangoes. What need have you to know how many hundreds of trees there are in the orchard, how many thousands of branches, and how many millions of leaves? You have come to the garden to eat mangoes. Go and eat them. Man is born in this world to realize God. It is not good to forget that and divert the mind to other things. You have come to eat mangoes. Eat the mangoes and be happy. Now, those of you on Zoom who are following along in your book, it's page 672 at the bottom of the page. So Bankim says, where do we get the mangoes? Master, pray to God with a longing heart. He will surely listen to your prayer if it is sincere. And that will help you on your spiritual path. Perhaps someone will tell you, do this and you will attain God. Bankim's laughter. Master, why should that be so? The mother knows what food suits the stomachs of her different children. Can all of them digest pilau and kalia? Suppose a fish has been procured. A mother doesn't give pilau and kalia to all the children. For the weak child with a poor stomach, she prepares simple soup. But does that mean she loves him the less? One must have faith in the Guru's words. The Guru is none other than Satchidananda. God himself is the Guru. If you only believe his words like a child, you will realize God. What faith a child has. When a child's mother says to him about a certain man, he is your brother. The child believes he really is his brother. The child believes it 125%, though he may be the son of a Brahmin and the man the son of a blacksmith. The mother says to the child, there's a bugaboo in that room. The child really believes there's a bugaboo in the room. Such is the faith of a child. One must have this childlike faith in the Guru's words. God cannot be realized by a mind that is hypocritical, calculating, or argumentative. One must have faith and sincerity. Hypocrisy will not do. To the sincere, God is very near, but he is far, far away from the hypocrite. One must have for God the yearning of a child. The child sees nothing but confusion when his mother is away. You may try to cajole him by putting a sweetmeat in his hand, but he will not be fooled. He only says, no, I want to go to my mother. One must feel such yearning for God. Ah, what yearning! How restless a child feels for his mother. Nothing can make him forget his mother. He to whom the enjoyment of worldly happiness appears tasteless, he who takes no delight in anything of the world, money, name, creature comforts, sense pleasure, becomes sincerely grief-stricken for the vision of the mother. And to him alone the mother comes running, leaving all her other duties. Ah, that restlessness is the whole thing. Whatever path you follow, whether you are a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Shakta, or a Vaishnava, or a Brahmo, the vital point is restlessness. God is our inner guide. It doesn't matter if you take a wrong path. Only you must be restless for him. He himself will put you on the right path. Besides, there are errors in all paths. Everyone thinks his watch is right. But as a matter of fact, no watch is absolutely right. But that doesn't hamper one's work. If a man is restless for God, he gains the company of sadhus, and as far as possible, corrects his own watch with the sadhus' help. Trilokya of the Brahmo Samaj began to sing. Presently, Sri Ramakrishna stood up and lost consciousness of the outer world. He became completely indrawn, absorbed in samadhi. The devotees stood around him in a circle. Pushing aside the crowd, Bankim came near the master and began to watch him attentively. He had never seen anyone in samadhi. After a few minutes, Sri Ramakrishna regained partial consciousness and began to dance in an ecstatic mood. It was a never-to-be-forgotten scene. Bankim and his anglicized friends looked at him in amazement. Was this the God-intoxicated state? The devotees also watched him with wondering eyes. The singing and dancing over, the master touched the ground with his forehead, saying, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Salutations to the Jnanis, Yogis, and Bhaktas. Salutations to all. He sat down again, and all sat around him. Bankim to the master, Sir, how can one develop divine love? Master, through restlessness. The restlessness a child feels for his mother. The child feels bewildered when he is separated from his mother and weeps longingly for her. If a man can weep like that for God, he can even see him. At the approach of dawn, the eastern horizon becomes red. Then one knows it will soon be sunrise. Likewise, if you see a person restless for God, you can be pretty certain that he hasn't long to wait for his vision. A disciple asked his teacher, Sir, please tell me how I can see God. Come with me, said the Guru, and I shall show you. He took the disciple to a lake, and both of them got into the water. Suddenly, the teacher pressed the disciple's head under the water. After a few minutes, he released him, and the disciple raised his head and stood up. The Guru asked him, How did you feel? The disciple said, Oh, I thought I should die. I was panting for breath. The teacher said, When you feel like that for God, then you will know you haven't long to wait for his vision. To Bankim, let me tell you something. What will you gain by floating on the surface? Dive a little under the water. The gems lie deep under the water. So what is the good of throwing your arms and legs about on the surface? The real gem is heavy. It doesn't float. It sinks to the bottom. To get the real gem, you must dive deep. Bankim, Sir, what can we do? We are tied to a cork. It prevents us from diving. All laughed. Master, all sins vanish if one only remembers God. His name breaks the fetters of death. You must dive, otherwise you can't get the gem. Listen to a song. The master sang in his sweet voice, Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love. Go seek, O mind, go seek Vrindavan in your heart, where with his loving devotees, Sri Krishna sports eternally. Light up, O mind, light up true wisdom's shining lamp, and let it burn with steady flame, unceasingly within your heart. Who is it that steers your boat across the solid earth? It is your Guru, says Kabir. Meditate on his holy feet. All listened spellbound. Again Sri Ramakrishna began to talk. Master to Bankim, there are some who do not want to dive. They say, won't we become deranged if we go to excess about God? Referring to those who are intoxicated with divine love, they say, these people have lost their heads, but they don't understand this simple thing. God is the ocean of Amrita, immortality. Once I said to Narendra, suppose there were a cup of syrup and you were a fly. Where would you sit to drink the syrup? Narendra, who became Swami Vivekananda, said, I would sit on the edge of the cup and stretch out my neck to drink it. Why, I asked, what's the harm of plunging into the middle of the cup and drinking the syrup? Narendra answered, then I should stick in the syrup and die. My child, I said to him, that isn't the nature of the nectar of Satchidananda. It is the nectar of immortality. Man does not my house with the dust of your holy feet. Master, that's nice. I shall go if God wills. Bankim, there too you will see devotees of God. Master smiling, how so? What kind of devotees are they? Are they like those who said, Gopal, Gopal, Keshava, Keshava? All laughed. A devotee, what is the story of Gopal, sir? Master smiling, let me tell you. At a certain place there's a goldsmith's shop. The workers there are known as very pious Vaishnavas. They have strings of beads around their necks, religious marks on their foreheads, and bags containing rosaries in their hands. They repeat the names of God aloud. One can almost call them sadhus, only they have to work as goldsmiths to earn their bread and support their wives and children. Many customers, hearing of their piety, come to the shop because they believe that in that shop there will be no trickery with their gold or silver. When the customers enter the shop, they see the workers repeating the name of Hari with their tongues and doing their work with their hands. No sooner do the customers take seats in the shop than one of the workers cries out, Keshava, Keshava, Keshava. A few minutes later, another says, Gopal, Gopal, Gopal. After they talk a little while, the third man cries out, Hari, Hari, Hari. In the meantime, the customers have almost finished their transactions. Then the fourth exclaims, Hara, Hara, Hara. The customers are very impressed with the devotion and fervor of the owners and feel themselves quite secure in handing them the money. They are sure they won't be cheated. But do you know what lies behind all this? The man who says Keshava, Keshava, these are upon the arrival of the customers means, who are they? There's a footnote on this. Every one of these words in Bengali has two meanings. So Keshava is the name of Krishna, but the other meaning is, who are they? In other words, he wants to know how intelligent they are. The man who says Gopal, Gopal, means to say he finds them no better than a herd of cows. The man saying Hari, Hari means, may I rob them? He suggests that since they are like a herd of cows, they can be robbed. And the last man, who says Hara, Hara, replies, yes, rob them. He means that since customers are like a herd of cows, they can certainly be robbed. Here, too, you see a group of pious men very much devoted to God. All laugh. Bankim took his leave, but he was absent-minded. When he reached the door, he discovered that he had dropped his shawl in the room. He was in his shirt sleeves. A gentleman handed him his shawl. Of the devotees at Adhar's house, Sharat, who was to become a disciple of Ramakrishna named Sardananda, and Sanyal were Brahmins, but Adhar belonged to the lower caste of the goldsmiths, and so the two Brahmins quickly left, lest they should be pressed by their host to take their meal there. Sharat and Sanyal had been coming to the master only a short time, and did not know how fond the master was of Adhar. The master used to say that the devotees formed a separate caste by themselves. Among them, there could be no caste distinction. Now, we have to remember that this was in the 1800s, and the caste system was alive and well in India, and Brahmins did not eat in low caste homes. The master, who himself was a Brahmin, ate in his devotees' homes, no matter what caste they were. Adhar entertained the master and the devotees with a feast. It was quite late in the evening when the devotees returned home, cherishing in their hearts the image of the master in his spiritual ecstasy and remembering his words of great wisdom. Since Bankim had invited Sri Ramakrishna to visit his home, the master, a few days later, sent Girish and M to his Calcutta residence. At that time, Bankim had a long discussion with these two devotees about the master. He told them that he wanted to visit Sri Ramakrishna again, but his desire was never fulfilled. Okay, are there any questions about that short part of that chapter? Okay, then we'll start a new chapter, chapter 35, at the Star Theater. And the Star Theater was the one that Girish Ghosh, who was a famous Bengali playwright, like your shirt says. Yeah. And he was actually, he was quite, he drank too much, he swore too much. He came to the master, and the master dearly loved him. He also was one of the greatest Bengali playwrights and did more for the emancipation of women in Bengal at that time than anyone else. In the Gospel, we hear about how he was arriving drunk most of the time. So we'll start at the Star Theater. Sunday, December 14th, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at the Star Theater on Beedon Street in Calcutta to see a play about the life of Prahlada. M., Baburam, Narayan, and other devotees were with him. The hall was brightly lighted. The play had not yet begun. The master was seated in a box, talking with Girish. Master smiling. "Oh, you have written nice plays." Girish. "But, sir, how little I assimilate. I just write." Master. "No, you assimilate a great deal. The other day I said to you that no one could sketch a divine character unless he had love of God in his heart. Yes, one needs to assimilate spiritual ideas. I went to Keshav's house to see the play Nava Vrindavan. I saw a deputy magistrate there who earned 800 rupees a month. Everyone said that he was a very learned man, but I found him restless because of a boy, his son. He was very anxious to find a good seat for the boy. He paid no attention to the spiritual conversation of the players. The boy was pestering him with questions. "Father, what is this? What is that?" He was extremely busy with the boy. You see, he merely read books, but he didn't assimilate their ideas. Girish. I often ask myself, why bother about the theater anymore? Master. No, let things be as they are. People will learn from your plays. The performance began. Prahlada was seen entering the schoolroom as a student. At the sight of him, Sri Ramakrishna uttered once or twice the word Prahlada and went into samadhi. During another scene, Sri Ramakrishna wept to see Prahlada under an elephant's feet. He cried when the boy was thrown into the fire. The scene changed. Lakshmi and Narayan were seen seated in Goloka. Narayan was worried about Prahlada. This scene too threw Sri Ramakrishna into an ecstatic mood. After the performance, now this whole thing alludes to the story of Prahlada, who was persecuted for his belief in God and his seeking God by his father, wasn't it? His father kept trying to kill him, and God kept protecting him. So that's what the play is about. After the performance, Girish conducted Sri Ramakrishna to his private room in the theater. He said to the master, "Would you like to see the farce? Vivaha Bibharata, the confusion of marriage?" Master, "Oh no, why something like that after the life of Prahlada? I once said to the leader of a theatrical group, 'End your performance with some religious talk.' We have been listening to such wonderful spiritual conversation, and now to see the confusion of marriage, a worldly topic. We should become our old selves again. We should return to our old mood." Girish, "How did you like the performance?" Master, "I found that it was God himself who was acting the different parts. Those who played the female part seemed to me the direct embodiment of the blissful mother, and the cowherd boys of Goloka, the embodiment of Narayana himself. It was God alone who had become all these." There are signs by which you can know whether a man has truly seen God. One of these is joy. There's no hesitancy in him. He is like the ocean. The waves and sounds are on the surface. Below are profound depths. The man who has seen God sometimes behaves like a madman, sometimes like a ghoul, without any feeling of purity or impurity, sometimes like an inert thing, becoming speechless because he sees God within and without, sometimes like a child, without any attachment, wandering about unconcernedly with his cloth under his arm. Again, in the mood of the child, he acts in different ways. Sometimes like a boy, indulging in frivolity. Sometimes like a young man, working and teaching with the strength of a lion. Man cannot see God on account of his ego. You cannot see the sun when a cloud rises in the sky. But that doesn't mean there is no sun. The sun is there just the same. But there's no harm in the ego of a child. On the contrary, this ego is helpful. Greens are bad for the stomach, but hinche, which is green, is good. So hinche cannot properly be called greens. Sugar candy, likewise, cannot be classed with other sweets. Other sweets are injurious to health, but not sugar candy. So I said to Keshav, if I tell you more than I have already said, you won't be able to keep your organization together. Keshav was in charge of the Brahmo Samaj. Ajay Brahmo Samaj, or just the Brahmo Samaj. That frightened him. Then I said to him, there's no harm in the ego of the child or the ego of a servant. He who has seen God finds that God alone has become the world and all its living beings. It is he who has become all. Such a person is called a superior devotee. Girish, smiling. Yes, God is everywhere, but the devotee keeps a trace of ego. That is not harmful. Master, smiling. Yes, there's no harm in that. That trace of ego is kept in order to enjoy God. You can enjoy divine bliss only when you make a distinction between yourself and God, the distinction between the master and the servant. There is also the devotee of the mediocre class. He sees that God dwells in all beings as their inner guide. But the inferior devotee says, God exists, he is up there. That is to say, beyond the sky. All laughed. When I saw the cowherd boys of Goloka in your performance, I felt that God had become all. He who has seen God truly knows that God alone is the doer. That is, he does everything. Girish, sir, I know truly that it is God who does everything. Master, I say, O Mother, I am the machine and you are the operator. I am inert and you make me conscious. I do as you make me do. I speak as you make me speak. But the ignorant say, I'm partly responsible and God is partly responsible. Girish, sir, I'm not really doing anything. Why should I bother about work at all? Master, no, work is good. When the ground is well cultivated and cleared of stones and pebbles, whatever you plant will grow, but one should work without any personal motive. There are two types of Paramahamsas, the Jnani and the Premi, the lover of God. The Jnani is self-centered. He feels that it is enough to have knowledge for his own self. The Premi, like Shukadev, after attaining his own realization, teaches men. Some eat mangoes and wipe off the traces from their mouths, but some share their mangoes with others. Spades and baskets are needed to dig a well. After the digging is over, some throw the spades and baskets into the well, but others put them away, for a neighbor may use them. Shukadev and a few others kept the spades and baskets for the benefit of others. To Girish, you should do the same. Girish, please bless me, sir. Okay. Master, have faith in the Divine Mother and you will attain everything. Girish, but I am a sinner. Master, the wretch who constantly harps on sin becomes a sinner. Girish, sir, the very ground where I used to sit would become unholy. Master, how can you say that? Suppose a light is brought into a room that has been dark 1,000 years. Does it illumine the room little by little, or all in a flash? Girish, then you have blessed me. Master, if you sincerely believe it, what more shall I say? I eat and drink and chant the name of God. Girish, I have no sincerity. Please give it to me. Master, I? Sages like Narada and Shukadev could have done that. Girish, I don't see Narada and Shukadev, but you're here before me. Master, smiling, all right, you have faith. And I think we'll stop there this evening. Are there any questions or any comments about what we have read? Nope. Hi, Gunga. We have people on Zoom. So, any questions, any comments? I think that's pretty clear. But then I always find what the Master says pretty clear. When I first started listening to this, I didn't know any of the stories. And after you read it for a long time or hear it over and over again, the stories become part of you. So, anyway. Okay, we have some announcements to make. We had a wonderful Karma Yoga Day today. We had a lot of people show up and we got a lot of work done. It was almost raining this morning. We didn't think that was going to be happening. So foggy, walked outside and it was wet. Not cold, but wet. Okay, so Tomorrow the topic is Merrily, Merrily, Life is But a Dream. Next Wednesday we will continue with our reading of Sri Ramakrishna, Apostle to the South. And then next week Saturday, we will have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 5 o'clock in the... No, that's the 28th.
That's at the end of the month.
The 28th is when he's coming, and Maidenand is coming a week from tomorrow.
Yes.
But there's a mistake in our bulletin. It says the gospel reading is at 5:30. Don't anyone pay attention to that. It's at 5 o'clock, okay? All right. Since there are no questions or comments, we'll end with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Panamastu.